So we finally got that version of Wild Things that we all wanted last week. The Inner Circle answering the Pinnacle's challenge, an amazing NWA Women's Championship match, and so much more as we uncovered last night's episode of AEW Dynamite. We are 2 weeks away from Double or Nothing, and we have such a stacked card. This pretty much has a contender for Pay-Per-View of the Year. Welcome to a brand new episode of Kimmy Talks Wrestling, and we are starting. An episode of Dynamite. Talk about a pay-per-view we have coming up in 2 weeks. Oh my god. So, we're going to start off with Moxley and Kingston against the Acclaim. Obviously last week when it was, Moxley debuted the Wild Things theme, people were very angry and wanted a way different version, and thankfully this week I think we all got the version we wanted, so yes. This match against the Acclaim was very good. I believe it was the number 4 ranked team versus the number 3 ranked team. With, I think the only team within the top 5 that has not challenged the Young Bucks is FTR, which FTR mentioned on Twitter. And we'll get there. This was a really good match. The Acclaim had a really good showing and shows each and every week why they are going to be a top tag team within the division in the future of AEW. I mean, of course, the rap in the beginning was also really funny, talking about oral sessions. I think last night on Dark they talked about or Tuesday night on Dark they talked about the Shield. But this was a really good match. Obviously, Moxley and Kingston get the win. They tried to cheat, so at one point they tried to hit him with the chain, and then Moxley stuck in with the beatbox and hit one of the other members of Acclaim, and then got the win. This is not the last time we saw Moxley and Kingston of the night, as we'll get to that main event. But like I said, this was a really good match. I like how they're kind of portraying the Acclaim right now. I think they're doing really fun stuff. Way to go, guys. But talk about the NWA Women's Championship match. It was my girl, Red Velvet, wrestling against Serendip, who has been out of action for, I believe, 2 to 3 months due to a knee injury. And this was such a good match. I believe this was actually one of the first Red Velvet singles matches that really didn't involve anything with storyline with Jade. And Red Velvet just showed watch your sign by AEW. Just saying. This match is really good. A great back and forth, and many moments within the match that you really thought Red Velvet was going to win the NWA Women's Championship. Again, showing that Red Velvet is, again, the future. Man, how AEW is really making really good homegrown stars in this company. But Serendip gets the win. I kind of don't know where we're going with this, being that NWA and AEW doesn't really have a partnership. I know that NWA has a pay-per-view on June 6th, I believe. I think that's the date May Valentine told me. Well, it's coming up soon. And it's very circus themed. I know that. So, I'm intrigued to see where we go from here. I'm assuming that if Thunder Rosa does not sign an AEW contract, Thunder Rosa is going to be the person to defeat Serendip. But I don't know. But this was a really good match. I was really impressed. And Serendip just shows that she's one of the best women wrestlers in the entire world. But let's talk about the Pinnacle and Inner Circle for a second, because like last week was announced, Stadium Stampede 2.0 is coming back to AEW, and I'm very excited. So basically, Jericho and Malenko were talking, and Alex was trying to get in a word, and Jericho was like, you're going to have to find out like the rest of the world, and Dean Malenko had a good spot here where he was talking about how Jericho had 4 more holds in him, because obviously Dean Malenko is known as the man with 1,000 holds. And Jericho's known as the man with 1,004 holds that has at least 100 of those, maybe more, being arm drags. So the Pinnacle got a really good promo. They're all out to eat, and MJF is very much saying how the Inner Circle has a lot more to lose than the Pinnacle. The Pinnacle's on top. They don't need the Inner Circle, and the Inner Circle is going to be done. He's jealous of Jericho. And just fantastic promo. The food looked really good. Sean Spears beat up the waiter because he just wanted his, wine. He didn't get his wine. Beat him up. Wardlow was just sitting there drinking a whole bottle of wine, which is also really funny. And then the Inner Circle comes out. Obviously, Santana's dealing with some family issues, so hoping everything's okay over there. But Jericho said that, was this really all worth it? Was it worth going in the blood and guts? Was it worth getting thrown off the top of the cage? You know, you scared my family, my children, the crowd, everyone who watched Blood and Guts. You scared all of them. Was that all really worth it to try to prove a point? And, you know, if we do lose to you guys at Double or Nothing, I guess it really doesn't make sense for us to be together, so we are accepting. So I really don't think Inner Circle's going to win. I think it makes so much sense in the world to split them up, but, you know, there's a part of me that wants them to stay together. I want the Pinnacle to lose. But this is really intriguing. I'm excited for this match. You know, there's some arguments that, oh, why didn't we hold Blood and Guts? Well, Blood and Guts was always meant to be its own special, so that's why you held off and did it two separate things, so Blood and Guts did not overshadow Double or Nothing, so that's your answer why. And speaking of that main event, we had the Young Bucks versus the Varsity Blondes with Julia Hart, and again, just proving why the Varsity Blondes. This episode is really just all about, like, younger talent making their claim, in my opinion. The Varsity Blondes had an amazing showing. Julia Hart, who's my age, again, amazing freaking showing. Back and forth, there was a couple spots in there where you really thought the Varsity Blondes were going to win. I'm not just saying that just for saying it. Obviously, the Bucks get the win. Moxley and Kingston then come to beat up the Young Bucks. And then, funny enough, as if you go back to the episode of Dynamite where Moxley and Kingston smashed into the Elite bus, and Kingston was really upset because they took their sneakers with them. Kingston actually was able to steal the Jordans that they were wearing. So Kingston got his shoes. The Young Bucks are not very happy. It was then announced that at Double or Nothing is going to be Kingston and Moxley versus the Young Bucks for the tag team titles. But I'm going back to the little promo package that they showed towards the beginning of Dynamite, where Kingston was like, "Do we have to throw said super kicks to get invited to said super kick party?" I was dying. So I know this does not make sense, especially because Renee's about to give birth to her and Mox's little girl, but I really want them to win the tag titles. Like, I just love this tag team, and I just feel like when Moxley goes away, Kingston's gonna be like kind of lost in the shuffle, and I don't want that to happen. So there's a small part of me that really wants them to win, but I know it doesn't make sense, and it's probably not gonna happen, but a girl can hope and pray. But kind of bouncing off the Pinnacle, the other interesting thing that we saw was Daniels and Kazarian had a backstage segment with Alex Marvez, referencing Daniels' tweet last week, talking about how Daniels said this might be the last one. If you saw BTE on Monday, Daniels cut his emotional promo talking about how when he saw Dusty Rhodes win the United States Championship for the first time, all Dusty was talking about was retirement, and he didn't understand why all he was talking about was retirement, and never thought he would get to this point. And Daniels was saying, you know, if this is my last one, I would have to go out with my brother. You know, sometimes you always have to lose. You know, thank you to every fan that's booed, cheered, supported, not supported. Just thank you to everyone who has been there for me in my career, my family, my friends, and every company I've worked for. And then Daniels he kind of broke down. And he said, not yet, I just don't want to leave. And it was really emotional. I was like, damn. So when Alex asked Daniels about the tweet, he, like, shoved the microphone, whispered something to Kazarian, and walked off. So I don't know if that means, like, maybe Kazarian, like, not saying that Kazarian and Daniels are, like, that's going to be the final match, but I wouldn't be surprised that's the final match. And then Kazarian wants to defeat all the members of the Elite because he's the one, they're the ones that took this family affair away from Kazarian, talking about how Daniels was more than just a tag team partner. He was a brother, he was a best friend, he's meant so much to him, and he's taken that part away from him. So I'm excited to see those matches. I mean, Kazarian and Kenny is going to be really good, and, you know, Matt and Nick, Michael Nakazawa, Brandon Cutler when he gets cleared, hell, even Don Callis, he was a wrestler at one point. So yeah, that happened. That was pretty good. I thought this Dynamite was a really good episode. I mean, it obviously wasn't the best episode. I rated it an 8 out of 10, especially because the Reba-Shida match was very, very sloppy, and I know it was more about the finish than the match, but that match was really sloppy, and I was like, oh my god, like, what the hell's happening? But yeah, Dynamite was okay. Obviously, it's all setting up for Double or Nothing, which is going to be a huge stacked card, and I'm very excited for it. So let's get hyped, guys. May 30th. 2 weeks. So make sure to like this video, comment what you guys thought about Dynamite, the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between. Make sure to subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and I will see you guys all Saturday for our SmackDown review. And Rollins might be rocking some new drip. So I'm on the bumped yesterday. He was rocking a robe and Becky Lynch's sunglasses.